All right, looks like we're live. Hope so. Gonna let it sit for a few seconds, make sure everything's good to go, because I know that the latency is a little bit awkward at first. So give me one moment. Also, man, I need to figure out. I'm always in a rush before I start. I need to be a little bit more ready. I'm sorry about that. But I'm seeing a lot of people in chat. Thank you so much for being here today. We got Akasuna, Marayo, Macduri, Adrian, Wolf, Negrum Tigris. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you for joining me on another Moonshire Monday. Still haven't missed one. I'm very impressed. Very happy that I haven't missed a single stream in the entire time that I've been doing this. Excuse me. What am I working on right now? So what I've been working on the past few days is the UI. So I'm changing how things are organized again for like the 9th time. And I know that seems like a weird thing to focus on. Like, why would I spend time working on the UI when there's like more important aspects of the game that need to work on? But really, the UI and how all the items, well, that's obviously messed up. The organization of how all the items are in the menu, it does relate to how the gameplay, or it's like how I'm organizing all the levels, you know. So that's what I think I'm going to be working on today, is adding more to this. Bilal, I'm seeing Samuel, Potato Dude. That's an awesome name. Thank you for joining, Potato Dude. I've always wanted a Potato Dude to join the stream, and I'm glad that we can finally have that. Very happy to watch you after watching hours of my videos. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. What I think I'm going to start with is show kind of like the plan that I started on. This is all a little bit rough, the UI that I've been working on. Actually, I can show you exactly the process I went to get to the point where I'm at, because I have it all documented across multiple files and multiple frames. It's really funny. Okay, so, well, that's not good. Something got screwed up here. But you can see I started by like, I went for like this top and bottom border look, and then I decided to make them into tabs, and I started working on these icons. It got a little bit screwed up here, but for a bit I was working on like a sunflower icon with the, it's hard to even explain what I'm going for until I show what I'm planning on doing. I want to have it organized where there's a few tabs. I think I ended up going with more than these. Yeah, I ended up going with 4 tabs. An items tab, and then the sunflower is going to be like the equipment you can change, like your weapon and then your colors and things like that. Then a map and a settings. And I'm still working out the details of how this is going to be organized. I still want to put it into practice and see how it plays before I do anything. I think this, yeah, even this one went through a few phases. I was originally going to do tabs on the bottom too, where each tab up here would have its own sub tab, but I ended up thinking that was too complicated. How do you drag? There's no need to drag. Watch the live just to ask what chair is mine. Oh, that's a good question. I don't have, it's from Furniture Row. So in the US, or at least in the Midwest, we have this series of furniture stores called Furniture Row. And I just sat in like probably 25 different recliners, because it goes all the way back. It's so comfy. Oh, what an amazing chair. I'm so happy. It ended up being a really good, it ended up working out nicely. Because what I do, I don't know if I've even shown this, my setup is I have my monitor in front of me, the camera's in front of me too. But I'm sitting far away from my desk, kind of. So what I do is it's an ironing board. I have an ironing board that I use for my keyboard and my mouse, so that I can just go, okay, time to code. And that's what I'm gonna do right now. And yeah, what I was saying before is I decided to change this into 4 tabs, and then I also decided that like this idea of showing the die alongside of like a weapon here was too much, so I just changed it into a big sunflower icon, which I think this looks kind of nice. The only thing that's a little bit weird, and this is what testing is going to reveal, is if people even get what the sunflower icon is supposed to represent, because the idea is that in the game you're going to go to a sunflower in order to change what weapon you start with, or that you get equipped, or that you get that you start with equipped. Excuse me. Ironic. Yeah, I know. That's kind of the joke, is that the game is moon themed, and yet there's sunflowers. I think that's kind of part of the theming. That's part of the story. I've been thinking about that. How tall am I? I give up my and I'm 5'9", so that's not very tall. Or I think 5'9" is like the official world average. Do you plan on adding a remember UI? Adding a remember UI. Oh yeah, like tracking. That stuff is really nice. I think it'd be cool if there was like a character in town that was specifically for that. Is it hard to make a game? It's hard to make a big game like this, yes, but it's not terribly hard to make something simple. I say this every single stream. If you start with something like Pong, it's still hard to make that even, but as long as you take your time with it, you can still do it. So as long as you keep it really, simple at first. Yeah, it's did average. Yeah, that's what I thought, which I am perfectly happy with. I like being average. So let's go back. So what I wanted to work on is I hate this dumb text in the middle. I need to get rid of that, because what I want to change this to, well, now I'm second guessing myself, because what I wanted to do is make it so that the player over here has like a little text box above him that says what the name of the item is. But maybe I should make it so the text could appear over here if the screen is wider. But if the screen is more narrow, the text box would appear over top of everything. I think that makes more sense, because I'm really into keeping things concise and like dense. I don't want to have too much wasted space. I'm making a game and need help. In pixel art, a sword slash animation has multiple frames. How do you make only specific frame deal damage when the slash happens? Yeah, that's a good question, and it's my answer is to keep it imprecise. It doesn't have to be perfect. So there are some game engines where they do track hitboxes precisely to the sprite of each frame of the animation. Like when I used Game Maker, I remember it did that, because a funny issue was that since the hitboxes of the characters was so specific, you would walk into a wall and then like your feet would clip into the wall because the frame would like change and like judder into itself. So with like a sword slash, let me change into a sword. Wow, this is all really messed up now. Or the great sword. So big sword slash animation. And is there a way for me to slow this down? I don't think I can do that right now. But the way that I can, and I can show the hitboxes. For me, as soon as the slash appears, it does just create a hitbox that has its own timer on it. So to answer your question is, I separate the hitbox from the slash animation itself. The slash is just an invisible, intangible thing. It doesn't actually have any physics, or it doesn't have any hit to it. But at the same time, when I do spawn that slash animation, I also spawn a hitbox that's like in an arc shape that roughly matches the slash animation, and it stays alive for roughly the same amount of time. And that's the answer to your question, is if you want it to match different parts of the animation, you need to do that either separately, or, you know, keeping it separate means you can program those things independently. They don't have to be tied to each other one-to-one. When I think the full game will release, I don't know. I always keep saying like a year, but I've been saying that for quite a while. Be the first mod of the game when it comes out. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm putting a lot of thought into making it mod friendly, because I'm planning to have some of my friends do some extra like level design and other sort of basic development stuff, and keeping the game moddable is how I plan to have them do that. Why do sunflowers let you save? Is it going to be in the final game as well? Yeah, it's just a fun little thing. That's all. I thought that it was a funny thing to have a sunflower that was your save point, as opposed to, I don't know, what is it normally? I like weird save points. I think my favorite is Mother 3. In Mother 3, you save with a frog. The music bot is dead. Yes, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that. The music bot is dead because I tried to sign into it, and it's not connecting. It's genuinely just broken. So I can't get it working right now. I'm sorry for yelling. I think I peaked the audio. That everything of adding a mana system. Yeah, actually, I think I made a video on that even, where I had a mana bar, and every time you hit an enemy, it would charge the mana bar just a little bit. So every time you hit it, you would get a little bit of mana, and then at the end of it, you could unleash like a big spell. And it's fine. That like I've played games that do that, and I think it's fine. But at the same time, I ended up taking it out just because it didn't match the theme of the game. So what I've been thinking of is tying all the spell casting or like big ultimate attacks to destroying your weapon. So by default, I'm going to make it so that destroying your weapon heals you, but then you can unlock different abilities that go along with that. So like maybe a big explosion, or it gives you some extra armor, or it burns everything. I was thinking all kinds of different ideas. Big fan, love my game so far. Thank you. Appreciate that. So what I want to do next is try and get these buttons up here set. Oh no, I broke my... See, I broke my menu too. I need to fix a whole bunch of things. I can't even open up my regular pause menu anymore because I got stuck in this menu now. So that's fun. But what I want to do is add these tabs up here. And like these icons at the top, I wouldn't say they're particularly interesting or good looking. I'm probably going to hand these off to one of the one of my other pixel artists that work on the game to try and make them look better. Because there's a few pixel artists that help with the game. Ellie does a lot of the icons. In fact, I think she helped a little bit with this UI too. She kind of like designed the shading, even though I adjusted the colors. I think she designed some of the shapes and the shading on this stuff, and she'd probably be really good at designing some of these icons too. What was the bad with the old inventory to change it? Let me see. So actually, how about... Well, I can't do that. I keep suggesting I run the old version, but I'm still running an internal version on my computer, so I can't do that. But the old inventory system was fine. It's just that the mechanics of the game are changing, and the UI needs to reflect that. And what I mean by that is the current Steam game was designed around the idea that weapons were just everywhere in the world, that you would just like wander around and you would find like a spear, or you'd find a big club or a big hammer, and you just pick it up, and they were all disposable. You would just like use them until their armor ran out, and then you would shatter them and then find something different. It's kind of like my own take on the Breath of the Wild formula. So like in Breath of the Wild, you could change that game so that there's no healing, there's no resources, it's just the weapons. And when you need to heal, you shatter your weapon to heal, and then you use a different weapon. And that way, you don't have to have weapon durability anymore. You shatter your own weapons on your own terms based on how much damage you take. And that's what I wanted to start by doing. That's what I wanted to do in this game. But what I was realizing is that you can't really balance the game around having weapons just sitting around randomly in the world. I mean, you can, but I wasn't able to really put that into practice. When I was designing these levels, it didn't make sense for weapons just to be there. And then on top of that, picking up weapons mid-combat and dropping them and swapping them felt so clunky and awkward for such a simple game. Because really, this game is simple. It's just like a pixel art like action game. It's like a Zelda game from the 90s. It's not particularly robust, I wouldn't say. So since the style of the game is simple, it's retro, it didn't make sense for me to make the mechanics or the controls too complicated on top of that. I really wanted to keep everything simple, and I think that that's a big selling point here. And so that all being said, is I got rid of the pickup button, and instead you equip your weapon in like a menu, but you can still shatter your weapon. And then the other mechanic I think I'm going to include on that is you can reform your weapon. So after you shatter it, you can reform it, and I don't know, maybe that'll add some extra variety in the combat. I know I'm kind of just like rambling about different ideas I'm having about that, but that's kind of why I'm changing the UI to go along with it. Because if the sunflowers are now a hub to change your equipment, the menu should reflect that. The organization of the items should reflect that. And that's what's difficult about this, is that I need the menu to help guide the player into what they're supposed to be doing. If the tab in the menu is a big sunflower and all my weapons and all my colors are in the sunflower tab, that kind of helps indicate that you go to a sunflower in order to interact or use this sort of stuff. Because the alternative is that there is no sunflower tab and you can only see these items at a sunflower, but that kind of takes away from the collection aspect of it. It's really fun to go through a game and you see all these empty squares and you're like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to fill these squares up with. And then you see them like stack up over time and you see it fill in. It's a really, really fun process, and being able to see that in the pause menu I think is really important. And also, this is kind of based off of some of Wolf's idea. Wolf was helping me test with some of this stuff, so thank you for helping with that. Also, I'm going to slow down. I noticed that I'm speaking very fast, and I'm stuttering as a result, so I'm going to chill out a little bit. And I'm going to go back to reading chat because I kind of went into a trance right there. Would you say that you were an amateur when I started working on this? No, I wouldn't say so. So I started when I was a kid. I got GameMaker on like a CD, and I learned from a book to use GameMaker for a few years. And in high school, I took a couple programming classes. And then in college, I got my computer science degree, and then I had a software career, and then I started working on this game. So all of that time, during all of those years, I was still working on games. It takes a long time to reach this point, and it takes a lot of like weeks and years and just time spent not being very good at it. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't very good at it, obviously. Yeah, release the game. I want to, trust me, but it's going to be a bit. I know. When are you going to release the game? I'm noticing a trend with these questions. I know. I really, really want to release it. But if you haven't noticed, I'm quite particular. I'm quite particular with getting the mechanics and getting everything just right. I really do want this to be pretty much perfect because I can take my time with this. I have that luxury. Most games don't have an infinite timeline, and they really shouldn't have an infinite timeline. But the thing is, I'm having so much fun, and I'm not burnt out on any of this stuff at all. I just really like working on this game, and I like iterating on my own ideas. It's been an amazing experience, and I feel like I'm growing from doing all of this. So I don't want to stop. I really think that I can make it good. And if it is good, I think that it'll be really successful. How accessible do I plan on modding your game being? Very. So I've kind of showed this before, and I mentioned this earlier, but the way I plan to have pretty much everything in the game is set up like this. So all of the enemies code is really complex. There's so many enemy files. Look at all these. But to make a new enemy, like let's say you were a modder and you wanted to make your own custom enemy, it's not actually that complex. All you have to do is find the enemy code, or you don't have to find anything. All you have to do is provide one file. So if you were a modder, this is what an example of a modded enemy would look like. You have the list of animations at the top, and I'll show what the sprite sheet looks like too, so you can help visualize what this would end up looking like. And honestly, I think I can tone this down even more too, because I'm planning to change how the animations are named and how they're organized. I can make this even easier, so that's something to consider too. But every enemy is just a sprite sheet like this. And then you just organize the different animations based on where in the sprite sheet it is. Here, sorry. I need to make this smaller. So like the idle animation is just the top row, these two frames. The move animation, this one. Attack animation. Actually, what's awkward about this sprite sheet is that the second and third row are the exact same. I ended up making them the same, so this is kind of a bad example. But I think you get the idea. So modding it is just making a file like this where like you define what's the width and the height, what shadow should it use, and how much health should it have, how fast should it go, what attack does it use. This isn't really coding, it's just configuring a file, and I'll probably have like a little wiki to look at to get examples and just to see that it really isn't that difficult to put something like this together. Do I watch tutorials to make my game? Well, I did at first. For the first year or two of learning Love 2D, I was really active at watching YouTube videos and reading guides that were online at the time, just because that's what you got to do in order to learn. But also watching tutorials, that's not how you really learn. That's how you get accustomed to things. That's how you get comfortable. But you can only really learn by making projects and trying things. The Udemy course? Yeah, I can link that real quick. I'll link the affiliate link. Sorry, it's gonna take me a second. Whoa! I never knew this. Someone made a competing course. Actually, there's a few of them. Yeah, look at that. So when you search for Lua on Udemy, it used to just be mine. This is mine, but now there's a specific Lua course. That's kind of cool. I still think mine's better. I don't know. I don't know that. I'm just saying that. I don't actually know that. I didn't even look at that course. I just saw it. But anyway, let me send the link. Oh wait, no, I wanted to send the affiliate link. Because you know what, I'm gonna do a free coupon. You guys can have it for free for anyone that wants it, since you guys are so nice for being here in the stream with me and for waiting for me. All right, sorry for the wait. Okay, I sent it to chat, or excuse me, I sent it in chat. It should be a link to the Udemy course, and it should be free. I think it's only going to, excuse me, I think it's going to work for today only, and that's it. Support, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you buying the course anyway. But at the end of the day, if you're able to buy it, go for it. But no, the course is free for anyone this year. I appreciate you being here. Can you add a skeleton dry bones like enemy? Oh, that's a cool idea. I like those enemies that like you kill them and then they're just like dead temporarily, and then you have to like finish them off somehow. Did I ever have a feeling that my code is messy sometimes and you basically went into refactoring? Oh, heck yes, I have. Here, I'll show you a really good example of that. Because the enemy code, like I just mentioned, I still have the old enemy code. Actually, I have the old enemy code, and then I have the new old enemy code. So I have two examples. I'll show the original, actually. So enemy's old. It used to be every enemy was organized into their own file, and then I would copy and paste logic between them. No, this isn't super bad. This isn't as bad as I thought it was. This one's kind of bad. Oh, this one's terrible. Yeah, this one's really bad. But then I changed it to this version. Where is it? Enemy old. But look how long this file is. It's 2,000 lines long. So it's 2,000 lines long, and then I took this file basically and split it up into all of these. All of these files were born from this one single one. And it was quite the adventure figuring it out. You forgot about the golem. Yeah. I plan on bringing the golem back because I still have every enemy in the game that are right here. Here he is. I think he's cool. I can actually show what I based this sprite off of because I got it from an itch.io asset. Oh, I don't know where I'd be able to find it. I didn't get it from an itch.io asset. I got the body shape from. I wish I could find it because I put so much time into this. It looks super unique, but like this like potato shape of a body, it came from a different asset, and I can't remember where I got that. It's one that I paid for. Maybe these live streams are not getting you too much financially, but we appreciate them. It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to just chat, and I do these because I enjoy them, really. And also, it's really good practice for me to get better at speaking because I have a problem with stuttering, and these streams are just good for me to practice with that. How do you prevent burnout? I'm working on a game, and I'm starting to feel the burnout. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough thing to navigate because... fortunately, I haven't felt burnt out with this game. I felt burnt out with different aspects of it, but you know, the nice thing about game development is that there's lots of different aspects of it. Because if I feel burnt out with making this game, normally that doesn't mean that I feel burnt out on making this game. I'm burnt out on coding, or I'm burnt out on pixel art, or I'm burnt out on level design, or sometimes I'm just burnt out on thinking. And I get that. But thankfully, there's normally other parts of the game for me to jump over to that don't burn me out nearly as much. So, like, recently, I did feel a little burnt out on coding. So I've been doing more... I mean, I've been doing level design for, like, the last year, but I've still been doing that. But I've been doing a lot more pixel art the past few weeks, and that's been nice. But we got a donation. Working on a cute little memory game. Thanks. Appreciate that. That's awesome. I really thank you so much for the donation. Sully Dietz. That's a good name. But I want to go back to working on this because I got these icons ready to go, and I just need to put them in the game. So I got these 4 files right here. And I'm going to make a new button in the pause menu that can act as these tabs. If you would add a game, or excuse me, if you would make a game about a deaf person, will you add sound/music to the game? That's a... I don't know how to answer that. That's an interesting question. Well, I mean, so you said it's a game about a deaf person. Does that mean that non-deaf people could play it? Because then, yes, I would add sound in that case. Just like I don't know. That's I'm wondering like what prompted that question. Are you working on something that's related to that? Because that's an interesting question. I'm just curious. And I'm going to... Oh, you play as a deaf person. I don't know. In general, like the nice thing about games is that you can put all aspects of all the senses in the game. Well, I guess not all of them, but all the interesting ones, I guess. So even if it makes sense in game for it to not have sound, I think a game without sound is a little bit awkward. The tutorial on GitHub and Git was very helpful. But if I use Godot, can you still use it? As far as I know, yeah, you can. Because Godot files are still just... They're just files. Yeah, I'm pretty sure every file can still work with Git. So to add a new button, I have this button file. And also, I refactored this file last night. This file was like 500 lines long, and this one was like 600. So I was able to just trim it down quite a bit. When does this update come out? I don't know. I'm sorry. I know it's gonna be I know it's been a bit, but I need more time. And where do I define new button? Okay, so new buttons. So this file is old. I don't recommend the way I'm doing this as the way to do it, but I think it is okay to say if args and args dot tab, then this is how we define like the class of what button it is. So I'm going to say like button dot panel sprite. And this is the panel sprite that we're going to be using for this. Am I able to... What game is this music from? Oh, this is from Final Fantasy XIV. It's from Endwalker. It's the Charlian theme. Oh, actually, I can just show it. Whoops. Yeah, old Charlian from Final Fantasy XIV. I do want to get the music bot fixed. Does Love2D come with a built-in button system? No. Am I using a fixed palette? Not exactly. So I have this palette up here. I think default. Yeah, I have this palette up here that I use as a starting point. But like you'll see that a lot of these colors are not up here. Like even this yellow, I don't think is in this. Whoop. Yeah, this yellow isn't even here. I'm using all custom colors for this icon, and same with this. I think that I started. What the heck? Wow. Yeah, I'm not using any of these colors anywhere. So really, I think the answer to your question is I'm not really even using a palette. How did I learn? Excuse me. How did I learn pixel art? So I started with Game Maker, and I just made a lot of my own sprites as a kid and did it for my whole life, really. So one thing I want to check is how do I set the hover sprite and the active sprite, because hover sprite. Oh, here. Yeah. Panel hover sprite. Okay, so we're going to take this. Did I ever play Death Stranding? No, I didn't. I don't really think I would enjoy it because, like, the Kojima vibe is not quite my way of enjoying a narrative. He's very abstract and kind of... I just don't think that Death Stranding would be my type of game. But I really should give it a shot to see what it's like. The only Kojima game I played is Metal Gear Solid 1. That's the only one I've played. I did like that game, though, which is unusual. Normally, I don't even like stealth games, but I like that game. Sprites.pause.tab hover. Yeah, so I already imported all these assets. Any of the Souls games. Elden Ring, and I started Dark Souls, but I haven't really. So really, Elden Ring is the only one. I think if I'm gonna play another Souls game, it should probably be Sekiro. I think that that's the one I would like the most because, in general, I think a linear format, or I don't want to say linear. I still want there to be decision making involved, but I like linear levels that lead to climactic moments as opposed to like wide open areas. So I think that I would like Sekiro a lot. Graveyard Keeper. No, I'd never heard of that. Moonshire is a Souls-like. In a rough sense, yes. I think I do have the Souls-like tag on it on Steam. Finished playing Mario Party Superstars. Nice, cool. Sekiro is my favorite game, period. Awesome, nice. That makes me excited to play it. I've been hearing nothing but good things. Is there an active? Oh, I see. Okay, this is fine. So I'm gonna also add down here, if self.tab then, and then actually there's a if pause dot. Let me make sure I get this right because. Yeah, ID. Okay. So I'm going to check and see what the ID is. Button.id is equal to... let's see. What should I say? We're going to say items. And then gear. Metal Gear. .id equals map. Not multi, we're going to change this to settings. So this is how I'm going to do it. I know this is not making it look very good. Like I'm not happy with this code, but the reason why I'm doing it this way is because this file was written probably 3 years ago, And the way I organize this a little bit with like the args, it's weird. It's not organized very nicely. I wouldn't recommend exactly how I'm doing it here, but it is okay. So what I'm planning to do is whenever I spawn one of these buttons and I pass in this tab argument, it's going to give it the tab panel, and then I can configure some different specific things based on this. So like the icon, for example, I can grab this map icon right here, which I have not exported yet. The Switch 2 Direct is in 2 days. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I know some people aren't excited about that because it's just like another Switch, but at the same time, I'm really excited because I just want better specs. I really, really want to play Nintendo games at like 60 FPS finally. So I'm going to export this as... Actually, I can just save this as just a PNG. So I think I have a icons folder. Yeah, icons. Oh, this isn't it. My sprites are very disorganized. I think I need to put it in here. I think I'm going to make a new... I really don't like this. I'm just going to put it here. I'm not a fan of my organization with these sprites. I really need to go through and fix all this, because that's the problem. When you have a game that's been in development for 4 years or more, you know, you're going to have so many assets that are just like laying around in different folders, because I take things in different directions all the time. And as a result of that, there's so much just trash and things are so out of place everywhere. There's no consistency. And I'm going to add to that problem right now by doing a map icon. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Will I watch the live-action Legend of Zelda movie when it comes out? Oh yes, I will. Even if it's bad, I'll still see it. Because it's rare for me to get out and go to the movie theaters, but a Zelda movie, that'll definitely do it. Hi, have a nice day. Thank you, Palerus. Thank you. I'm going to save as. I think save as is a little bit faster. So this is going to be chest icon. And then I'll do this one. You can make a game that looks like mine. Is my game coming to Nintendo Switch 2? I would love that. So that just depends on how it performs on Steam, because it's only going to come out on Steam at first. After that, maybe it can come out on mobile as well. That's something that I'm considering. But console is its own beast. Like, no one... Love2D, for example, Love2D doesn't natively export to console. I would need to work alongside like internal Nintendo people to get their APIs and figure out how to make everything work. It would be a complicated process. I think I would be able to figure it out. Because I figured out how all the mobile stuff works. I'm confident with that. And it took a while. It was tough. But I think I have enough experience with complicated things like that I'd be able to get through it. Did I see Major Links how... What? Animation is way better than whatever Zelda movie is going to come out. Oh, I didn't actually see the trailer for that. I didn't look at any of the news for the movie. On Steam, you are at the mercy of Gabe's ultimate algorithm. I mean, you're right, but there are things that I can do to influence that. And also, I'm not just at the mercy of the algorithm. If, like, for example, I can do all of the marketing myself, then in that case, the algorithm doesn't matter. If I'm able to advertise my game, like for example on YouTube, by making videos about it and sending my own traffic to the Steam page, then I'm not at the mercy of Gabe's algorithm. But at the same time, if I want to lean into the algorithm, I probably will. And I think that I can play I think I know how to play my cards right to do well with that algorithm, because like I've been asking for wish lists. That's a really big first step. I'm iteratively improving on the Steam page. I haven't touched it for a while, but I'm making steps to get better at that. I have an artist that's working on stuff, and we're going to be putting a lot of work into like a new trailer and making the music better. So I have a lot of plans to make it decently likely that it'll perform well in the algorithm. So sunflower icon, and the last one is the gear. Moonshire's already a hit. Appreciate that. I think that this new demo version will be. I'm very excited about it. I hate how I named these. I'm already going to change them. I'm going to change it to icon gear. I'm gonna change the names of what I named these, because like I named this chest icon. The reason I want to change them is because now they're separated from each other, and that's annoying. So I'm gonna call this icon chest. So now, that's better. Now they're actually organized. When does the stream end? At 2 p.m. Central, so an hour and 15 minutes. A follower from Yemen. Very cool, thank you. Mustafa Fox. I'm going to go ahead and get these icons implemented. So whenever I have a new sprite, I have to go over here into this assets folder, and like, before you flame me for this folder, I've been showing a lot of bad code today, by the way. Pretty much all the code I've shown today has been, like, old bad code, and this file is another example of that. In fact, look, at the top, I say, load all assets at once. Yes, this is stupid. Leave me alone. And I'm going to say that now, too. Just leave me alone, because I know that's stupid. I load all the assets at once, and although that is not advised, it is convenient, because now I don't have to worry about, like, loading stuff on the fly. And also that means that my levels are able to, like, load instantly because it doesn't have to load any of the assets. They're already ready to go in memory. So I'm going to say sprites.pause.icons equals this .chest. And then look, like GitHub Copilot is actually smart enough to be able to figure out what the path is. Except it got it wrong. I didn't have an icons folder, so this is what I mean by GitHub Copilot. It's good, but it's not that good. Like that's not what I'm trying to do. I wish that it could look into my folder and see what files I just added, because it would be able to see over here that I added 4 icons. I wish that GitHub Copilot could see that I added a chest, a gear, a map, and a sun, but it guessed chest open, which is wrong. Pause the icons dot, well, we'll do sun next. Sprites.pause.icons.map and sprites.pause.icons.gear. Oh, my keyboard died. My keyboard died suddenly. Thankfully, I got a solution. Okay, there you go. .gear. And let's double check that it actually generated these right, because I think it's very likely that it did not. It actually looks fine. Sun, map, gear. That's what I named them. No, actually, this is not what I named them. It's chest icon. Chest icon is what I named this. No, actually, that's wrong. It's icon chest. Icon chest. So these are all wrong. Icon map and icon gear. Love this project. Hi from Indonesia. Thanks, appreciate that. Is Canary Beta going to get an update soon? I forgot that I have that public. Looks like walls of assembly code for terrain for terrain sprites. Yeah, kinda. If I want to start a new TD game, do you recommend starting from scratch or using your open source game and adjust from there? No, I do not recommend starting with my game and going from there. I recommend, if you are new to game development, starting with a very easy game and starting from scratch. It's going to be very hard, but you can like look up little details on how do you make Pong, how do you make Space Invaders. Even really easy games like that are really difficult. So I don't recommend starting with my game. Like the Legend of Lua repo, because it's going to be too difficult. Why does the Canary Beta still exist? Well, I mean, I just haven't really posted anything to it for a while. What did we use it for? Did we use it for like internal beta? I think we used it for the testing right before version releases. This is VS Code. So that took me forever to load these in because I got sidetracked. But I can go ahead and take these and go over here. And I'll say button.icon equals this. And I bet Copilot can figure these out too. I couldn't figure this one out. Actually, it got these wrong. And actually, that's kind of confusing. I named one of the tabs gear, but the icon gear is a gear. Is a gear like this. So there's a double meaning of the word gear. That's probably going to be confusing at some point, but I don't care. And now I need to... Notepad? I mean, I use Notepad too. I got Notepad up and running. Who do I like most? DevDuck, Bite Me Games, Thomas Brush, Brackies, Thin Matrix, or Juniper Dev. Well, I don't like playing favorites, so I don't know if I should say, but like I know all those developers and I watch all of them. I've talked with Juniper Dev before through Discord, and I've watched Thin Matrix probably the longest. Brackies I don't have too much attachment to because I was never a Unity person, and I'll probably watch his Godot tutorials if I ever pick up Godot. Bite Me Games, I watch some of his videos, but I really prefer more the style of Thin Matrix or even Juniper. And yeah, I'd say that's my overall critique. I don't want to say critique because I watch all of those people and I like all of their channels. So now that I got this, hope you're having a good day. Thank you. I'm trying to, what is it? I made a bunch of new buttons and now I need to spawn them at the top of the pause menu. So that's going to happen here in this init buttons function. And I think I'm going to do it right here. No, I'm going to do it up here, right at the very top. So what I'm doing is, like in the pixel art design, I have these 4 tabs at the top. And now in the code, I'm just generating those 4 buttons manually at the top. So like this first one is called items. Should I call it items tab? No, I can just call it items and then I put this tab property to true. Yeah, like that. And then local top Y equals, it's going to be something like 12 times pause.scale. It's probably not going to be even this much. It's probably going to be something like 8. For next project, am I going to stay with Love 2D or going to do something else? If I'm going to make a 2D game, it's probably still going to be in Love 2D. Or if I wanted to make like a game jam game, that would also be in Love 2D. But I do want to move on to something else because I want to work on 3D games. Or I want to work on a 3D game because I've never done that. I've tried, but I've never really gotten into it. And I think that Love 2D is not the best choice for 3D games. I'm going to move on to something for 3D. Did I ever try Roblox Studio? I never tried it myself, but I get a lot of people asking about it because I know it uses Lua as well. In fact, the Udemy course got a lot of attention because so many people were coming from Roblox to check it out. You've been just in GameMaker? Yeah, I love GameMaker, but yeah, same thing. I wouldn't really use it for 3D. So I'm going to put this at... This is going to have to be really, like, hacky to get it in place. Like this. So I'm going to just do, like, a rough first pass to get all these items, or all these tabs in place. So next is gear. I'll make this one 40. And the next is map 60. And the next is settings. And I'll make this one 80. So I don't think this is gonna look quite right, but it should show up. I do think that they will show up. There's Lover. Yeah, I've seen Lover. I'm actually impressed. I'm impressed at how good Lover is. But at the same time, it's not even close to as fully featured as something like Unity or Godot or Unreal or a dedicated 3D game engine. And yeah, the buttons did show up, but obviously they're not in place like I predicted. So I need to move. I think the X value is actually correct for the first one, which is a very crazy coincidence. I need to move them all down though. So let's do that. I might have been closer originally with 12. A little bit farther. Now this is the annoying part about working with a framework as opposed to an engine, is that since the code is separate from how I visually see things, it takes some like guessing and checking in order to do really anything. I'm gonna say local tab gap. And I'll set this to, it's going to be like 32 times pause.scale. Gap between the tabs, yes. GitHub Copilot adds comments like this all the time. And it's like, sure, gap between tabs. I already named it tab gap. I don't think I need this. I don't think I need that. It's like, it's not, that doesn't take much artificial intelligence to figure out what tab gap means. Yeah, so I'm gonna say tab gap. No. It's local left X. This is kind of awkward, I know. But if you use local variables for this stuff, it makes it a little bit easier. Left X, because then I can adjust these values without having to manually paste them or like change them in here. Because now I can say left X plus gap, and then this one I can say left X plus gap times 2, and then this last one is just left X plus gap times 3. Okay, sorry I looked away for a second. I bought Copilot for VS Code. Yeah, I've been paying it monthly for probably a year now. I like it. It's worth the money for me because I code all the time constantly. And although I don't think it's worth it for most people, if you're able to understand how it's helpful, then yes, I think it's worth it. But I don't know how helpful it would be for a beginner or someone who's not really familiar with coding. I'm not sure. So let's see. What? Button 10. It's not called gap, it's called tab gap. I forgot about my tab gap joke. What am I looking at? We're working on the UI. Okay, this is a lot closer. It needs to move down a couple more pixels, and the gap needs to be like 1 more pixel. Oh, 4. Someone asked if Moonshire is on Android. Yeah, I mean, I plan to try. That was too far down, looks like, and too far over. Oh, I know, because the gap's not gonna be consistent. Unfortunately, part of the issue with this current layout is that the tabs can't be completely the same size. Like the math just didn't add up. If I want 4 tabs at the top, I can't. One of these tabs has to be the odd one out. See, like this one is 32 pixels wide. This one's also 32 pixels wide. This one's 32 pixels wide, but this one's 33. Oh no. Oh wait. No, it's 33. Accidentally. Yeah, it's 33. Actually, it would probably be easier if I changed it so this one was the wide one. The reason why I made it this one to be the extra wide one is because the map's the widest icon, so you're less likely to notice. Actually, that's probably what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep it that way. I think that my plan to keep it clean like this didn't work out very well because the tab gaps are not going to be consistent. I don't think that this worked out. I think I'm going to manually put in a different value in here each time. Was I sharing was I sharing wishlist counts at the end of my videos? No, I was not. I might have talked about it briefly, but I haven't talked about how many wishlists the game has for over a year. All I'll say is that over a year ago, it was above 10K. That's all that I've said. Rain, hi, welcome in. I'm sorry I was looking away for a bit. I'm still trying to figure out the math on this, but I think that... This isn't right. I think I actually have this a pixel off. Yeah, I do have this a pixel off. The left X is a pixel off. This needs to be 19. Oh, wait. I forgot I already screwed this up. We'll keep using this for now. Let me get everything in place and then I'll clean it up. Okay, let's zoom in and make sure that things are looking right. It's getting closer. That looks perfect. This next one looks perfect. I need to change the icon orientation. It's a little bit too vertically off. And then this one is not going to be perfect. Yeah, this one needs some adjustments, so... Whoop. So like I said, the map one, this needs to be an alternate tab. I'll say tab and then alt equals true. So when alt is true for the map, it's going to use the slightly wider tab buttons. I can configure that right. Where can I configure that? Tab, then if args.tab or args.alt, then and I don't think I imported these yet. Oh, actually, I haven't even made the assets yet. So what I'm going to do now... What if the map is 1-to-1 not separated? Are you talking about the gaps between each of the icons? Can you make it so the tabs are not consistent sizes? Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm doing. Is I'm going to have two sizes. One where they are 32, and another set where they're 33. And this is, again, this is still a hacky way to do that. Pretty much all of the UI in my code is pretty hacky. But that's just what I'm gonna have to do, is I'm gonna make a new version of all of these 4 sprites that is just 1 pixel wider. You're gonna be modding this game a lot? Cool, that'd be awesome. What's my work schedule? I work every day, pretty normal work hours. Well, I should say I work the whole day, but I take lots of breaks in between, so it's like I'm kind of working all day, but not really. So I'm gonna call this tab alt. Can't I make it so it's consistent? I don't think that there is a way. And I'll show you guys the math to prove why we can't make it consistent. Unless I change like the format of how this sprite looks. But if I want these tabs to be nestled in between this black line over here on the right and this black line over here on the left, this section is 132 pixels wide. Okay, so this is 132 pixels wide. So what does that mean for the size of each tab? It's 32, but you need to account for these black bars in between each tab. So really, it's not 132 that we're working with. It's 132 minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3. So it's actually 129. 129 divided by 4 tabs is 32.25. That's why we have to have 3 tabs that are 32 and 1 tab that is 33. That's how the math works behind that. The only and the reason why this whole section is 132 is because that's just how it added up with these. All of the small squares down here, all of this is completely consistent. There's no discrepancy down here. The only discrepancy is combining this setup with a 4-tab setup at the top. And my argument for doing this is that because I'm choosing to make the map one the extra wide one, it's hard to even see it. It's hard to even notice that one of these tabs is not like the other. So I think that it's worth the time for me to do this because it looks really clean. My OCD hurts when it's math. I like it. I think it's fun. So let's go ahead and fix this. So tab alt. This is the version that I want to be 1 pixel wider. So from changing this from 32 to 33, and I'm just going to take this, bump it over here, and then fill it in, and then save. So tab alt is taken care of. Now I need to do all the colorations because there are different colorations for each tab. Again, I could make this more streamlined where I don't have to add different sprites for each color, but I'm choosing to do it with this way because it makes more sense. It's easier. Tab alt hover. So this is a different version that is, it's still the 33 width. It's just a hover version. So when you hover over a panel, it lights up like this. It gains these colors. Or actually, this isn't a good example. I should grab this one. It grabs these colors. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to grab this and paste it onto this and then stretch it. There we go. And now we're going to do tab active. Oh, wait, I added, or I named this wrong. Oh, tab alt hover. No, I didn't name it wrong. It's a lot to keep track of. Tab alt active. And also, I'm not showing you my file explorer. I really should do that. I'm juggling all the files that are over here in this folder. That's why it's a little bit a lot. So, tab alt active is going to have these colors. We'll go ahead and paste that on there. Whoop. I see. I copied the wrong one. Tab Alt active. This needs to be 33. And then finally, there's a Tab Alt active hover. Tab Alt active hover. And that's this one, but we need to use these colors. Again, it's slightly brighter. There we go. Okay, that takes care of all of the tab icon, like, panel stuff. Now, my Discord, but how can you reach out to me? You can DM me. I don't accept friend requests, but you can DM me. You might have to change your settings to DM people who aren't your friends, but if we're in the same server, you can DM me. So now that these tabs are created, I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to just add them to this list. Actually, I'm going to separate this. I'm not going to separate it. We're going to say sprites.pause.tab alt tab alt. And that is correct. Sprites.tab alt hover. It figured it out. So sometimes GitHub Copilot is able to figure it out. Tab alt active hover. Okay, I think that's all right. So here, back in button, I need to take these new assets and use them whenever alt is assigned. Tab alt and tab alt hover. And then I'll worry about the active in just a moment because I haven't configured that on the other ones. You DM me, can I see you? Yeah, I can see you. I just wanted to try to work on something out. Show the UI sprite again? Sure. But, now the tricky part is I can't use, like, a consistent gap between each of these tabs. I have to have a gap between this one and this one, but now the gap between the second one and the third one, it's not consistent because this one's bigger than the other tabs. How many pixels are the squares? This one is 32, and this one is 33. But also there's the black line, so don't forget about that. And the whole bar itself is 132. But I need to go back and go ahead and try this out and try to organize these. So I think it's not tab gap. It's ×2 and then plus, this is so messy, plus 1 times pause.scale. I think that's how I have to do it. And it's really awkward. You know what? No, this is really messy. But whatever. I'm just gonna get it in place and I'll clean it up later. I already said that. I think this is okay. Let's see what happens. Hey, look at that. It's pretty close. It looks like I'm half a pixel off. So this is fit in. Same with this one. Wow, it's like less than half a pixel. No, it's half, it looks like half a pixel off. Which makes, no, this one's fine. So it's just the map one is half a pixel off. So let me fix that. So instead of being up by 1, yeah, it should be up by, I guess, 0.05 or 0.5. A good UI system for Love2D. I've tried out a few of them, and I'm sure that they are good, But for me, it's ended up working out nicely being able to just make my own UI for it myself. It fits into the engine a little bit nicer. So I think that wraps up putting these buttons in place. I think they fit in pretty nicely now. Yeah, I think it's perfect. Okay. So now let's make them functional, because what I want this to do is when you click on, oh, by the way, I have this, it's not showing the whole screen, but yeah, it goes up to the whole top. When you click on the chest tab, it's going to show all the items. When you click on the sunflower, to show all your weapons, map, and settings. So that's the next step here. What physics library do I recommend in 11.5? I use Winfield. So I have a Winfield or physics tutorial on my channel. And for 11.5, I recommend that. But in Love 12, things are going to change, and I'll probably have a new tutorial on what to use in that. In fact, it's not that I think things are going to change. I know they're going to change in Love 12, so be on the lookout for things getting a little bit different with physics soon. Have I worked with an engine in the past? I use GameMaker. I'd say GameMaker counts, but a 3D engine I have not really. Like I followed tutorials when I was in college on like Unity, and I tried out some other small ones, but in the end, no, I just like sticking with this. So now that these buttons are in place, I think I'm gonna actually commit. Put tab buttons in place. And then now I'm going to, what should I do now? First time watching, I always watch it before going to bed. Work from home today. Awesome, well, I'm glad you could join today. Appreciate that. Unity is so bad? I don't really think it's bad. What specifically do you think is bad about Unity? I understand that management at the moment, or at least a year ago, is not great. But what specifically is bad about Unity? Because I think the engine itself is great. I think it's really good. If there's something that you specifically think is not good, I'm curious what it is. Do I do game dev full-time? Yeah, I do. I'm a full-time game dev. Except, like, that implies that I make money from making games, but I do not. I don't make money from making games. I make some money from YouTube and some from Udemy, but most of the way I'm able to do this full-time is I financially supported myself from saving up a bunch of money. Why is there a delay in chat? I mean, how much of a delay? There's probably going to be a delay by, like, 5 or 10 seconds. I can't avoid that. Everything as well. Have you seen the pro pricing? Yeah, but if the engine's good, I mean, the engine's really good. You said the engine's bad. What's so bad about it? Yeah, sure, you can disagree with the pricing. I think that I don't know how they should price it. I don't know about that, but they need to make money. They're a company, so they have to price it somehow. If the engine's really good, which it is, there's a lot of games made with Unity that are good. You can use Godot. Yeah, there's a reason why Godot is growing in popularity. I'm not really a Unity defender. I'm just a person thinking that it's not a bad engine. I see a lot of people saying that it's bad. I get the backlash after the drama that happened a year or two ago, because what they did was pretty crappy. Bub, hi, welcome in. Where they like changed the terms of use for Unity games. That was pretty crappy. Everyone agrees it was crappy. And the CEO who was behind that left the company. So I feel like that whole issue is resolved. Now, if you still think the engine is too expensive to use, then yeah, that's fair. But like, what's the alternative? I get that Godot is really good too, but Unity has a longer history, and I mean, are there things that Godot can't do that Unity can do? I bet that there are some, because Unity is a for-profit company. They are adding features and supporting their product for the sake of making money, and that gives them a lot of incentive to put a lot of work into their engine. And Godot doesn't have that. Godot has an open source community who is run by the passion of building a good product, which in itself is its own thing, right? Use Unreal for 3D? Well, I mean, Unreal costs money as well, dude. There's no way to get away with this for free, unless you go the open source route, and then you're making a compromise in other aspects, because if the paid for routes have more features and better options for you, then there's the opportunity cost. If you can make a game in Unity twice as fast as than you can make a game in another engine, then you're losing money by not getting the game out the door faster. There's no right answers here. That's why I don't like saying Unity is bad. I don't think Unity is bad. You can argue that it's too expensive. That's fair. But I don't think it's bad. If there's something specific that Unity is lacking in, then I'm open to hearing about that. But like they need to make money somehow. I don't really know what the right answer is. If it really is overpriced, then people will stop buying it. That's the truth of it. But if it is not overpriced, then people will buy it. I don't really know what the I'm trying to give people who do use Unity a little bit of hope, because there's been so much negativity with Unity recently, and I get it because of that whole drama. But I don't think that the engine is dead, and I think that you can still make a great game with Unity. I don't really think that there's a wrong answer here, and yeah, that's kind of all I'm getting at. That being said, I do still think Godot is a great choice, and really, when I start getting into 3D games, I do think that Godot is probably what I'm going to be starting with, just because even without Pro, there is asset store dev money cuts. I mean, probably. Yeah, it's always that trade-off between being a for-profit, publicly traded company, because their motivation is to make money. But when you have more money, that means you can hire more developers and implement new features and new things that something without money, like an open source project, they don't have that option. Can you make a game with Godot with the same freedom as Love? Yes. They're both open source, so there's no restrictions. It's the same amount of freedom, as far as I know. I guess I haven't checked the license, but I imagine that they're both very free in terms of how you can use it. There's pros and cons to every engine, and there's merit to be had with every engine. If Unity truly was bad, then like we wouldn't see so many amazing games that were made with it. But yeah, it's more expensive than choosing an open source option, but maybe that open source option can't do what you need it to do, or something's missing from it. Can you make a game with good? Yeah, you already answered that one. 30%. That's the thing, and then, like, Steam's the same way, where that would be a bummer if like you made a game and then the engine is taking 30%, and then on top of it, Steam is taking 30%. So like you're getting drained of your money pretty quickly because you're sending it away to royalties for all these other things that you need to pay for. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a reason why I'm using the software I'm using. I don't have to pay royalties to anyone. And I really like that. That's a big pro of being open source and going open source, because you're not tied down to anything like that. There's no complex proprietary things that you're bogged down by. And when pricing changes, you don't get stuck into an ecosystem that you're unhappy with. It would suck for all the developers out there that were using Unity, and if they did genuinely raise their prices to an unreasonable amount, and they just can't live off of that, then that's a problem. I feel bad for people in that situation. I wonder how impactful that was, because there are free versions, and I think there are ways to still use Unity to create your games and sell them for profit with just like rev share with Unity. I imagine they're pretty accessible with all that stuff. I've been yapping for a long time. How about I get back to making video games? I want to make it so that when you click on these, it changes tabs. And when I say change tabs, that just means that we're going to change the pause state. Because I think I actually have something in here that already does this. Oh, I took it out. I already took it out. That's fine. Click. Yeah, I think I want to do something like this. And I'll say if, whoops. And, okay, and then I'll say, I'm going to say self.tab, actually. If self.tab, I'll say if self.id is equal to items. Yep, this is right. I think I'm also going to say and pause.state is not equal to 1, so that it doesn't do this every time. I don't want it to init the buttons when it doesn't need to. And in fact, I'm also going to put the click in there as well. Like this. Did I go to college and was it worth it? For me, yes, it was worth it. I went to college for computer science, and I was able to get a software job out of college that was okay, and then I worked extra hard to get a really good job after that paid well, and from there I was just saving as much money as I possibly could. I lived so far below my own standards and was so conservative with my money and saving it and investing it that now I'm able to like just do this full time and not worry about that stuff nearly as much. It's really, really nice. So it did work out for me, but you have to choose the right field, and it has to be a lucrative career path that can actually make you money, because I've seen plenty of people that graduate with degrees that don't earn them really anything, and that wouldn't be worth it at all. You would waste your time and your money. So if you're going to go to college, make sure it's for something that you can get a really good career with, or at least has the potential, like it's reasonably likely that you'll be able to get a job with it. You don't want to graduate and not be able to get a job. I've seen too many people in that situation, and it sucks. I'm going to do the same thing for the other tabs. I'm going to say gear. We're going to call this 2. Actually, I can probably just put this at the top. I don't need to have this on each if statement. There we go. Is computer science a good degree now? I still think it's a good degree, because you can do all kinds of stuff with computer science. I understand that, like, I'm not well in tune with the career space as it is exactly right now, but I do understand that there's a bit of a lull with tech and computer science. I still think that it's a very vital career field, because, like, we're in the onset of, like, AI, and we're still in like a web-based world, and things are still being developed. There's still going to be a need for computer science, but also like engineering and business and marketing and graphic design and there's all kinds of, well, graphic design, it takes a lot of skill to really make it in that field, but you still need good graphic designers in order to like make it in the game dev space or in the industry or really anything. Quite oversaturated right now, but still worth it, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so as well. I browse the CS Career Questions site. I shouldn't, but I do sometimes. And like I see a lot of folks unhappy with the current state of how things are, and I get that. It just seemed like there's layoffs and not as much hiring as there used to. There was like the COVID spike, and now things are dropping off a little bit more. So I think that that's something a lot of people are focusing on, which I get. Like right now it's a bit questionable, but I still think that coding and computer science as a field is not going away. It's going to be as fundamental as engineering in general is, I think. Engineering is really good. Did I use Aspice for my animations? Yeah, I did. So let's say this one is map. Local did click equals false. So what I'm going to do here is, since I'm doing the same thing for each, for each of these, I'm going to add another if statement and say if did click, then, because there's no reason to copy and paste all this stuff every time. And I also don't need this anymore. I can just put this right there. Get rid of that. There we go. That's a little bit cleaner. And then I can say did click equals true whenever you reach the inner portion of any of these if statements. Slightly less copy pasted code. generally a good idea. I know this sounds dumb, but for some reason, I think saying programming sounds more professional than coding. Yeah, I'd say it, that in general. It depends on the audience or who I'm talking to. If I want to sound like more formal, I think I probably would say programming. But one thing about coders is that we are not very formal. So if you're talking with a coder, they do not care about that sort of thing. But if you're trying to like sell yourself or try to sound more formal, I think that you're right. I do agree with that. And then this one's settings. So now I should be able to swap between the different states. I don't know if it's going to pause the buttons quite right, but we'll see. So, yeah, it actually worked. It's ugly, and I still got this dumb text on the screen, but it's not that bad. I'm still on the fence about some of this. I think I'm just gonna make a gap at the bottom and put the text there for now because I don't have time to build a whole new system to display this text somewhere appropriate. That's gonna be too much work. I really want to make this look good in a reasonable amount of time. What I learned game dev from? I got this book when I was a kid called The Game Maker's Apprentice. It's way too outdated now, but at the time it was a book that taught you how to use Game Maker, and pretty much everything that I learned, like I don't know, all the basics came from that, just from making little games myself. Also, my answer isn't from the book. The book kind of showed me what to do, but I learned from making my own games, from making my own little games, and they were crappy and they were bad and they were very ugly, by the way. I was not a good artist when I started. So now that we got this... Oh, the other thing I want to do is make it so that the tab lights up when it's the active one. And I can do that down here. No, where do I do that? Active... I think I'm gonna say if self.hover. No. This is kind of dumb. If pause.state. Okay, it actually figured it out. GitHub Copilot to the rescue. The reason I didn't want to do this is because it would take me too long to type all this, but it was actually able to figure it out. Okay, I think that this is accurate, so let's double check this. What I wanted to do is, all this is doing is it's checking to make sure that if the pause state matches the tab, then we're going to set the panel for that tab to be active. And if you're also hovering over this active tab, it's going to make it the active hover. But then on top of this, I need to make it even more complicated because if what is it? Self.alt, then, or how did I have this set up? Yeah, it would be this. It's self.alt, then, because I need to account for that one version that's slightly longer. It's really stupid that I'm doing this, but that's what I gotta do, as far as I can tell. Also, this is kind of dumb, too. I just copy and pasted all this code in here. I'm going to do this. Local panel spur string, or panel string, like this. And I'm going to call it nil. It's going to be nothing at first. And then I'm going to set it to a string like this. Panel active. I haven't even looked at chat for like a full minute. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to make this work before I lose my train of thought, because that's what I do. And then once we have a panel string set, I can do something like this. if panel stir then panel equals like this. You can do this with Lua. And then I'll put panel stir in here. So this is going to grab the appropriate panel based on the string that we set in this local variable. So now, I don't even, it's even simpler than that. I can do this. I'm going to say if self.hover and, no, I was wrong. Flops. Thank you so much for the donation. Miss Past Few Streams. Also, I think I found my Steam accounts. Well, that's fine with me. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. And I guess Steam accounts are public, so yeah. I mean, they're just it's just Kaiserol and Jalagade. And let's see. I'm trying to make this so that I don't have as much copy and pasted code. Because you see, I have this line. I have these two lines pretty much copy and pasted 1-to-1 each time. And I don't want that. I'm going to say if panel string and panel string, there we go. Else panel hover. Perfect. Actually, no, I need to do this. Panel active hover. Yes, like this. Wait, no. I'm having second thoughts. I can't remember. I forgot about the alt. That's the one I need to worry about. Okay, let me start over. I'm losing my train of thought. If panel string, I'm gonna put that in here. I'm sorry, I'm getting like sidetracked. And panel string. Drag zap, please don't spam. I sent you DM of a concept for UI with the wide tab. I'll look at it after stream. I'm in the middle of getting this implemented. I think that this is gonna work out kind of nicely. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is if we have a panel string and we're hovering, now we need to set it to the corresponding hover string. So if panel string is equal to panel active, then we do that. Else if panel string is equal to panel, yeah. And then else if panel string is equal to panel alt hover, and then there's one more, else if, yes. Oh my gosh, what a pain in the butt. Okay, now I can get rid of all of that stuff. I don't have to have any of this. I can do this. I mean, it's kind of weird that I have to copy and paste it like this, but at least this is less. That looks really dumb. You know what I should do is I should make this one big, like, or, and just have one. I'm not gonna do that. It's dumb. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Why does R2D2 fail to launch 99% of the time? Or RDR2. I thought you said R2D2. I'm like, what? I don't know. I only played that on, actually, I didn't play it at all. My dad played it on PS4 when I was living at home. So to alt. Yeah, what I want to do here, and panel sprite. Oh, panel string. If panel string is equal to panel active, panel alt active. Yes, I figured it out. Okay, this is right. I think I got everything I need to put in here now. this is not clean, but it does work. Oh, I gave it the wrong... Not panel active, tab. I'm using the wrong... See, this is the problem when... This is the problem when you just use, like, AI, because it's not supposed to be panel active, it's supposed to be tab. Tab active. And then tab, active, tab, alt active. None of these... The word panel is not supposed to appear in any of these strings down here. Actually it is. Oh my gosh, I'm getting... no, it's not. It's not. It's not. Oh my gosh. I'm like second guessing myself constantly. Making controller support for UI. Yeah, that's a really tricky thing. Oh yes, it looks like it's working. The only thing that's not working is it's hover. It looks like it's stuck hovering, but look, it works. Woo! And this one's the bigger one, and it still fits in there nicely. But the way I do controller support is it basically, whenever a button is highlighted or hovered, it puts an invisible like mouse cursor there. And then when you press down on the controller, it searches straight downward in like a cone shape to see if there's any buttons that you could go down to. Because like if let's say that none of these buttons up here were there, if you press down from up here, you would jump down to one of these buttons. So that's why it does like this like outward look. It does a cone shape downwards to try and find what's the closest button for me to jump to if I press down. Or left. If you're on this button, you click left, it's going to search in a cone shape left, and it's going to find this button. Same with every direction. That's how I handle controller support with UIs. And yeah, what I was saying before is that I think I'm going to make this menu a little bit taller at the bottom. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. What I'm worried about is this dumb text. I want you to be able to hover over items, and then it would tell you what you're hovering over. But I can't find a good way to display that in this menu. It's so cramped. I don't know where to put it. I'm gonna have to think about that. Oh, a master of if and else. Yeah, I'd say so. That's kind of like the #1 skill for programmers, is that, well, programming is just all logic, and ifs and else statements, like, that's what an entire game is. It's just, this is just logic. It's just like checking a bunch of conditions and then deciding if you should do these things or not. To the left of the menu. That's not a bad idea. So what I originally wanted to do, and what I still think I will do, maybe, is have it when you hover over gauntlets, instead of it just displaying the word gauntlets over here, it's going to have like a little thought bubble pop up above the player that says gauntlets. And then when you click on gauntlets, it'll say like, I can use these gauntlets to shatter my weapon or something like that. So like a little thought bubble appears over here. Now, the reason why I'm not completely sold on that idea is because sometimes the game is played in a square like this. And look, it's very cramped over here on the left. There's not really enough space for me to do that little trick that I'm talking about. And in that case, I would need to do something over here in the menu in order for that text to be displayed at all. So I'm not really quite sure where I'm going to take that. I'll think about it. Because I could also remove one of these square rows. The number of items and weapons I have is flexible at the moment. In fact, I added an extra row because it was too small without the extra row. The bubbles are cool. Thank you. Do you still shatter and do that? Yeah. So that's still an option. What's my favorite Pokemon? Oh, that's such a hard question to answer. Oh wait, no, it's not a hard question to answer because I have a canonical list of what my like headcanon team would be. And I'm gonna pull it up. My favorites are Greninja, Espeon, Ceruledge, Garchomp, Scizor, and Zapdos. That's my headcanon team. Okay. Time to talk less about nerdy things. Let's talk about video games instead. I need to fix the hover up here. So you can see that when you hover over a tab, the color changes. but it doesn't change on the orange one, the selected one. It's supposed to be able to hover. So instead, it's just showing the hover sprite constantly. So like I have this logic is messed up. Oh, this is wrong. In panel. For some reason it's changing to tab alt active hover. Tab alt active hover. Or no, tab active hover. Tab active hover? What did I call it? Where is this even being used? I think this is wrong. Sorry, this is taking me a second. I think I screwed this up. Tab active hover. I don't... Let me see. I don't think that's gonna fix it. I can hear it hovering, so I don't know why it's not doing it. If self to hover. Oh, maybe it's like... Maybe self to hover is being improperly set. Here, let's test this. Print. So we're gonna print this, and I'm gonna see if it's accidentally hovering when it's not supposed to. But I need to turn the console on if I want to see this. So I'm gonna see if when I pause, if it's going to show us some information. I don't know if it will. So we're gonna see if when I open up the menu... No, it's not. Oh, okay, okay. It only, yeah, it only gets the... That's weird. I think that I'm just, not even... I'm missing something really obvious, I'm pretty sure. So this determines if it's active. If self.alt and it's active, then it sets the tab to tab alt active. That makes sense. Now, if we're hovering and there's a panel sprite... Oh, no, it's the opposite. No, it's not. It's not. I think that this is just isn't getting hit right. Tab active. I am really not sure why this isn't working. Unless I tab alt active hover. Are these sprites set properly? They look like they are. I'm gonna close out of all this. And ChatGPT will fix code. I don't think it will fix this code. These are the alts. Does the alt work, or is it both of them that are broken? Yeah, it's both of them. That's so weird. Now, is this the alt version or is it the hover version? I think it's the regular version. Yeah, that's not the hover version. So what the heck? Tab alt active hover. Tab active hover. Tab active hover. Tab active. This is driving me nuts. New lightning rod sprite? I don't think so. I mean, maybe. This is driving me nuts. I can't figure out why. I'm sure that when I stop streaming and I look at this, it's going to be so obvious and I'm going to be so embarrassed that I didn't figure it out. I know for a fact that's what's going to happen. Have a great day. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any tips with making a game? I've been making a game and I always change the game, like with a combat game or platformer. I know that, like, what you're describing is part of the process though, because especially when you're starting out, you need to experiment with tons of different ideas. Things are going to click in different ways and you're going to learn what you want to make. You really can't plan out what you do. It's all a learning process. So if we're hovering and we have a panel sprite, here, I'm going to print panel. Wait. I found the problem. I'm getting mixed up. You know what happened? I used GitHub Copilot and I used this code. I trusted it. I trusted it with my life and it was wrong. It was wrong. I shouldn't be doing it this way. I need to set the string to this. Oh, what a silly mistake. I'm supposed to be setting... I'm not supposed to set the panel. I'm supposed to set the panel string. Can you believe it? I feel like we've all been there, where we meant to set the panel string, but we accidentally set the panel. Okay, I think that's actually going to fix it. Oh my gosh, I'm so irritated. Such a small... There we go, look at that. Yay, that looks good. Except for the text, like, in the middle of the... in the middle of the menu, that doesn't look very good. But, I'm pretty happy with getting that in place. That took a while, but... Yeah, so relatable, I know. Is Lua hard to learn? No, it's a pretty easy one. I recommend, if you want to check it out, there's a video on my channel from just like a few months ago called Learn to Code with Lua. And you don't have to install anything, you don't have to download anything, you can just use your web browser to code in a web browser and code along with the video. I think it's a great way to get a feel for it. That's what I'd recommend starting with. Will I release on Switch too? I would love to do that. I think that would be really cool to release a console game, but not for a while. I want to release on Steam first before anything else. Am I on Windows? Yeah, at the moment I am. I own multiple Macs and multiple Windows machines, and I swap between them, but I'm pretty happy with Windows, just because I'm used to it the most. I used Mac for a while to try and get used to it, but I just couldn't get used to it quite as much. I like them both. They're both fine. There's parts that I dislike Windows for, but overall, I just get used to it. Why not trust AI? It's a way to learn fast for beginners. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, if you're using it specifically to... I don't know. Maybe. It depends on how you're using it to learn. If you are... Because here's how you learn. You learn by challenging yourself and overcoming those challenges. And part of the problem with AI is that it removes the challenging aspect of problem solving, because it solves some of the problems for you. So if you're going to use AI to learn, make sure that it's not doing it for you. Make sure that you are actually using it to learn, and it's not just solving the problems. It's not overcoming the challenge for you. You need to overcome the challenge. That's the only way you're going to learn. And I do worry that people are using AI in a way that isn't challenging themselves. It's almost like they're wanting to not learn how things work so that they can just use AI to do things. It's all about a lot of Mario Odyssey music today. I mean, that's a pretty big portion of my playlist, gotta say. And also Nintendo music is really good for this playlist because they allow Nintendo music on YouTube. It's really nice. As long as it's not like a standalone. I've noticed that if you post a YouTube video that's just a Nintendo song, they'll strike you. They'll get rid of it. But if you're just using it as background music, Nintendo is really understanding and open to that stuff. I haven't seen too many problems with that. Only when it's a song that they've collabed with people on, or it's a song with lyrics where there's an artist involved, that's when I've noticed there's problems with copyright. But with Nintendo, they're very open to this sort of thing. Teach a man how to fish. Don't catch a fish for a Mac. That's a weird phrase. I haven't heard that one. How will the next Zelda be according to me? I like the direction Echoes of Wisdom went, so I hope that they can adapt some of those ideas into the 3D games. I like Tears of the Kingdom, but it was too samey as Breath of the Wild. It didn't really tread as much new ground, even though I liked it a lot. It did click with me eventually. I get my tool-assisted speedruns copyrighted on YouTube half the time, probably because it's just gameplay. Oh, I see. That makes sense. Yeah, I've noticed that because back in the day, like 5 or 10 years ago, you could look up any song from any game on YouTube and just listen to it for free with like no padding, and it was really nice. But now things are more like Nintendo has their music app now, right? And I imagine that they want to keep things a little bit more. They want to maintain more ownership over to how their music is distributed, and I totally get that. But it also makes sense why they allow people like me or other YouTubers to use their music in the background because, one, it's good music. Rip Gilvis Hunter, I never recovered from that. It still haunts me. It's good music, and it kind of like promotes their games. Like when I'm playing Mario music, I think it makes some people want to go play a Mario game sometimes. It makes me want to go play a Mario game sometimes. I play Animal Crossing music in my stream all the time. And I started playing Animal Crossing on my GameCube this week, and I've been loving it. It's been fun. I want to see you make FiveM script. FiveM? Maybe I misread that. Free marketing? In a sense, it is. There's that fine line of like if they're using your music to promote a product that competes with your product, then I could see it being a product or a problem. Sorry, it's not even that. It's as long as it's clear that this isn't my music. I make it very clear. Any suggestions on good dialogue system for Love2D? The way I do dialogue is like you load the full string in and then you just parse it based on how much of the string you're wanting to display. This is really ugly, by the way. That everything's off size, and I don't like this frame. But I like the way that the text like comes in character by character, and it does that because it's just literally on a timer where every 0.1 second, it displays an extra character of the entire string. Have I played Amori yet? I haven't played it, but I watched an analysis and a playthrough of it, and it seems very cool. Especially the art style. I really like the art style. It seems really awesome. Is RPG Maker still valid? Well, anything's valid. I'd say the biggest evidence for RPG Maker still being valid is Fear and Hunger. Fear and Hunger was made with RPG Maker, and that game became like a YouTube sensation last year. Everyone was playing Fear and Hunger, and it like visually it looks like an RPG Maker game, but the developer put so much work into the world building that it doesn't really matter. So if a game like that can become a YouTube sensation as an RPG Maker project, I think that that's proof that you can do it with anything. You became a pro game dev in just 1 year by using ChatGPT. Dude, I don't really agree with that because I use ChatGPT because GitHub Copilot is based off of ChatGPT, but I've demonstrated in this stream alone that it causes a lot of problems when you really don't pay attention or you don't fully understand it. So I'm sorry, I don't fully agree that AI is a foolproof solution to learning game development. I think when used in the right way, it could be helpful, but based on what you're saying, it makes me worried that you're relying on it. It doesn't seem like it's just becoming. It doesn't sound like it's a benefit to you, because if you take away the AI and you can't do it, then that tells me that it's not really working out. You don't need to study IT to become a game dev. Remember ChatGPT. Now I think you're just a troll at this point. I'm pretty sure I'm being trolled now. There's a way to learn coding languages first. I mean, yeah, like what I was saying from the start is that as long as you're challenging yourself with the process, I do think that you're going to learn from it. High demand for senior developers to fix code in a few years. Yeah, maybe. It just depends. Like I said, I use AI to help generate some of the mundane parts of my code, but I've shown in this stream that sometimes that goes wrong. It literally gave me bad code here, and I didn't notice. And it took me a few minutes to figure it out. And if I had just gone through the motions of coding it by hand, I would not have made that mistake. I would have remembered, oh, we're dealing with the panel string. Or not dealing with the panel. I was trying to set the panel here. Or I was trying to set the panel like I'm doing down here, but I needed to set the string. So, like, AI is dicey still. It's even when it's perfect, I just can't imagine it being so perfect that it understands every little bit of context. It might. How does Lua compare to Python for game dev? They're pretty similar, I'd say, because they're both like they're similar type of languages. You code them in similar ways, and they run through the what do you call it? The interpreter. I think they're both interpreted language. No, Python is compiled. So excuse me, I think I'm wrong about that. Do you have advice for challenges? I've found that I've learned both by replicating and then self-challenging, and then also very hands-off, no tools attached. My advice for challenging is to go cold turkey and make a game from scratch with no experience or with like no tools doing anything for you. I recommend like follow a tutorial to get a feel for how things work, but the game that you produce from a tutorial is more of like a reference. In order for you to make a game and be comfortable making games on your own, you have to take the training wheels off, and you have to do it on your own and really challenge yourself. It's the only way. And then the other thing is, like, I call it training wheels just now, but it's not training wheels because I put the training wheels back on. I have ChatGPT in my my code base here, and I do think that it benefits me because I'm able to see very quickly when it generates good code and when it doesn't. But at the same time, you know, I still make mistakes. I'm kind of rambling at this point because it's a very nuanced discussion. There's pros and cons to it. I like AI. I like that it speeds up the mundane aspect of development. But I'm already starting to see the negatives with it. That if you become too reliant on it, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Take a look at there's something going around the internet called vibe coding, which is where you do what Celso is kind of talking about a little bit, where you're very hands off with the code itself. You are more interested in allowing the AI to write and control all the code, and you just monitor what it creates and you test it yourself and instruct it on ways to improve it further. But it's become more of a meme than anything because it's not working out very well. Having a solid understanding of your code and how it works and the code that's being produced by the AI, that's where you're going to actually succeed, because the moment things go wrong, you're going to have trouble if you don't understand it. That's what I always say with the framework versus engine discussion. How I get criticism sometimes where people say, oh, well, you should just use Unity. You should just use Godot. It can do all these things that you're talking about way easier and way faster. And that is true. But the problem with doing that is when things go wrong and when there's a bug, when you have a tool doing things for you, you're going to be less prepared for solving the problem. And it's the same with AI. When you're so used to AI solving the problem for you, you will not be prepared for when AI can't solve the problem for you. And right now, AI can't solve a lot of problems. Maybe in like 10 years, it'll be able to solve every problem. And then the way I'm discussing this is different. but it's going to be a long, long time before AI gets even close to good enough that you can just like let it be and you can vibe code your way to the top. I just don't think it's possible. Based on my experience with making this game, if even any aspect of it was obfuscated too much, it would have made it a lot more difficult to debug anything. Or like that issue that we just ran into right now where I was using the panel instead of panel string. Maybe an AI could have caught that, but what if it couldn't? Then there would be no chance of me being able to solve that problem. Please explain how to put the weapons on your character. Yeah, that's a tricky aspect, and I think this will be the last thing. So the weapons are completely separate from the player. So the weapon is its own sprite, and the weapon is its own entity. Every frame, it places itself on the player's shoulder. If I walk, it's always tracking the player's movement so that every frame is perfectly placed at the right position. When I swing the sword, it's checking the exact state of the player's animation so that it can adjust and rotate and place itself in the exact right spot. And that's how the sword animations work. And like the over-the-shoulder trick, that's done by using layers, because if I take a look at the player sprite in not tiled, an A sprite, like this. This is the fully red version, but you'll see that the player head is disconnected from its body. So everything is set up in layers. And since it's layered, that means I can place the sword in front of the body, but behind the head. So you get like that over-the-shoulder effect. Will I add more weapons? I think I will. I mean, yeah, there's at least going to be 10, but I think there's going to be more than that. I think that I'm going to put enough in to fill in like this top section of blocks. So maybe 14 or 15. I'm not sure. If not that, then 10. Personally, coding everything yourself and figuring stuff out always best and most fun. Only exception would be if you really don't know how to do it. I've had way more fun after I learned to code. It depends on what you want to get out of it, right? Because learning to code is going to be the best solution always, but that's also the most time-consuming solution, because that requires you to put in years of work understanding code and doing lots of practice project and overcoming challenges and figuring out all these things. It's a very long process to learn how to code, and that's why it's tempting to just go over to ChatGPT and say, hey, code me a game that's like Moonshire, and then it'll spit something out that's kind of close. The problem is iterating on that is very challenging. If you don't use AI, then other people use it. You're going to lose to them. By NVIDIA CEO Jensen. Okay, I mean, there's truth to that. So what you're referring to is like the political discussion, and in that sense I do agree. What you're saying is that if like the US put in a ban on AI, that's still not going to stop AI from taking people's jobs, because other countries are still going to be using AI, and then the US would be missing out on that benefit. We would get the negatives of AI, but we would get the we wouldn't get the benefits of AI, but we would still get the negatives of AI. And I do agree with that sentiment. But when we're talking about an individual level, a person, I don't think the same rules apply. I think that the challenge of learning can't be replicated with AI. You can't use AI to put knowledge into your brain and to put experience into your brain. You can use AI to build things, but when you need knowledge to build things, AI can't fill that in. It can, in some ways, but it can't in other ways. And things are going to be different in 20 years and 50 years. But right now, as they are today, I can only speak on how things are today. Silksong in 2025. Yeah, that's like saying, imagine if Team Cherry used AI to make their game. It would be out so much sooner. But do I really think that? No, of course not. Like, I don't think anyone wants Team Cherry to use AI to make Silksong. They trust Team Cherry to use whatever tools they need to make it the best version possible. Maybe that involves AI. Maybe they're using Copilot like I am. But it doesn't really matter. All that matters is Silksong good? Then yes, I'm going to buy it. But if it's not good, then I'm not going to buy it. I'm just kidding. I'll buy it regardless. It doesn't matter. I'm going to buy Silksong no matter what. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to buy it. AI for level design. I was thinking about possibly somehow building an AI to help with filling in the detail. So I'm going to open up a map here. So if you look at like some of these maps, they're really complex. Like, look at all these dumb markers. All I am is I'm just like placing in grass and placing in trees and stuff. I do think that if an AI did this, it would be fine, because it's mundane. This isn't some kind of creative task that a human wants to do. It's something that a computer probably could do. A human could probably do a better job at placing in all these markers, but it's a mundane aspect. It's not something that I want to spend my time working on, and that's where AI can come in really nicely. Will I add more dungeons? I'm going to add quite a bit more, and the demo in its current state, before I release it on Steam again, it's going to be a lot different. I think that people are going to be surprised at how different it is. I mostly use AI for suggestions. I use it for suggestions a lot. I use it for writing, where I'm like trying to decide the right word. I'll say, AI, give me an alternative word for blank, and then it gives me like 20 suggestions of different words I could use, and normally one of those is pretty good. I use AI for idea and like brainstorming and like trying to figure out theming. Like I have, like, let's say I'm working on this snowy area, and it's like, okay, I need to come up with an idea that fits this snowy, watery theme. So I'll type into the AI, like, give me some objects that fit the vibe of a snowy area with a big river running through it. And then it just like spits out a whole bunch of words that I can read through, and it gives me new ideas. It doesn't give me any specific ideas, but it might tell me something like, I don't know, a snowman, or it might say like icicles, or a whirlpool. It'll just spit out a whole bunch of different ideas, and I can read through those, and maybe one of those will resonate with me, or maybe they won't. It doesn't matter. It's all just it's all that's the thing, is that it's cheap idea making. I could hire a human to think for an hour on these ideas, or I could pay an AI to just give me word suggestions or theming suggestions. If the theme of the area is a dark moonlit forest, there's probably some vibes or some ideas that can come out of that. Character name suggestions. That is, when I was coming up with the name Chalcade, I didn't use AI to come up with the name, but I would have if AI was around at the time, because where would this be? I'm trying to think of where I have this. I'm sorry, I can't find it. I have this list of like name ideas for Chalcade, and what I did was I just researched online, like list of tech words, list of video game words, list of words related to whatever, and I just came up with this big list of prefixes and suffixes, and I started manually like gluing them together to figure out what sounded good, and that's how I came up with Chalcade. We're talking about having AI help you learn to program a game. Yeah, there's been mixed opinions from the chat on if AI should be used as a learning tool, and there are times where I think it could be, but it's dicey. I think most of the time it's probably doing too much work for you, where I don't know if it would be learning too much. It's hard to say. It just depends. Post-game dungeon that is infinite and it has a leaderboard. I would love to do that. What I want to do is have a post-game like roguelike section where it has like a dedicated procedurally generated big empty map that's just procedurally generated, and you go through rooms and it's roguelike, and it has like high intensity, and you can get cool upgrades. And I could put in upgrades that I can't put in the main game because it gets the game out of balance. But in a roguelike, you can make like crazy, weird, wild abilities that break the game completely. There's no harm in doing that because it's a roguelike. Who cares? It's fun when you get a wildly overpowered build in Binding of Isaac. It's not a bad thing. I need to cut the stream off now because it's been over a couple hours and I am ready to call it quits. But thank you so much for being here today. It's been a really, really good stream. We got a lot of people in chat. Rodamator, Axel IV, Adele, Joshua, Dragzap, Vin Nicholas, Olivier. I'm sorry that I'm not the best at reading. I notice that when I read things, I tend to slur my speech and slow down a lot more than when I'm just like talking randomly off the top of my head. But thank you so much for being here. It was a good discussion, a lot of good work. I actually got stuff done this stream. Look, I made the tabs at the top and they work. That's awesome. It's rare that I'm actually productive during a stream, but I'm thankful for all you being patient with me, and I'm thankful for all you being here. I will be back next week for yet another Moonshire Monday, and I will see you then. Thanks everyone. Bye.